Welcome back to McCarthy Performance. Thank you for watching. This video will be covering me finishing up the bottom end of this LS, be the pan, the dampener, the timing pointer, and a few other things, windage tray and pickup. Gloss over some of it. Tried to get a little bit more in depth, but just don't have enough room on the videos to do that. So we glazed over a few things, but we didn't skip anything. Thank you for watching. Okay, I'm about ready to put the front cover on. We've taken the pump apart. We've made sure it's clean inside. There's nothing going on in there. I packed it up a little bit. Tightened up the bolts, replaced these with ARPs. Um, I put a little bit of Permatex Aviation around here, gasket maker. Uh, it's probably overkill, but I'd rather have it on it and not need it than want to put it on later. The block's been drug around. It's not a new block anymore. Has some scratches and some carved marks in it. And I just like to put a little extra insurance on that. Plus, it's got an aftermarket front cover on it, replacement cover, and there's some chatter marks in that. So I've pretty much put it on both sides. And I've, between that and the O-ring gasket from GM, I think we'll be good to go. But it's just something I've always done. We used to do it on the boats, stern drives and that. We used to use a sealer, even though a lot of O-rings were in them units. So it's just a habit. I mean, like I said, I'd rather do it and not need it, and then wish I could put it on later. So we'll get the cover on. I'm just going to put the cover on loose until I put the dampener on. The dampener is going to center up, give the engine a couple cranks. It'll help the seal find center, tighten it up. I've never had a problem with them that way. I know they make locators, but actually when you line bore an engine on the rear main seal, a lot of times there's nothing you can really do about that, and they can be 5 to 10 thousandths off. So we're not going to worry about it. I've never had a problem. If I have a problem, I'll address it, but right now I've always just let them center themselves, and there's a lot of older engines that are built that way. So Chevrolet big blocks were that way first year. So we're getting ready to install the dampener bolt for the ATI dampener. So I'm going to put a bead of silicone around the inside of the dampener to keep anything migrating out of the keyway. We're going to stop the crankshaft from rotation. Now, if you have a flywheel on it, you can buy one of these, and these work pretty nice. And that'll just lock it in and keep the flywheel from turning. On this particular job, we're going to use a piece of aluminum plate and an extension. I'm going to put that in one of the balancing holes in the crankshaft. I'm going to put the plate up against the oil pan rail so we don't dent it. So we're going to get going on this right now. It's probably easier just to put it on your finger and put it in there. It'll be a messy job, but oh well, that's the way it goes. I pretty much do this on anything that's got a keyway. Okay, so this is an ATI dampener. Obviously, it's going to have a ARP fastener holding it on. So we're going to get that fastener ready right now. We have ARP lube underneath the washer, so it'll free up the friction, and the torque rate on this bolt is quite a bit. So you tighten it up until just about something breaks or you pass out on the floor, and that'll probably be about the right torque for it. I'm gonna have to move you back a little bit here. You want to definitely make sure you ate your Wheaties, because it's a lot of torque. Ah, it's a lot. 230 is what I'm putting on it. Whew, and that's enough. Well, this don't line up. Nice, it was out a little further. Oh. Well, I guess you can't do much about that because it's got a serpentine belt running on it. Huh. Yeah. This will be the old eyeball. All this windage tray, oil pump, pickup tube, pickup screen, all that's been MIG welded. There's a little bit of splatter, we call it popcorn, or a lot of guys I know call it popcorn, so when I say we, more than one. So you got these little pieces of steel just laying there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to knock them off. Let's see if I can show you a good view of it. Yeah, you can't probably see it, but right there you can see it. You can hear it. That stuff, if it loosens up, it could very well get sucked up into the oil pump. So I'm going to hit this with a wire wheel. These aren't too terribly bad. Top of this pickup is horrible. There's definitely a lot on there. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to clean all this up. So I'm going to use a chisel and rubbing my hand off of it. Some of it fell off already. See, I just chucked off a couple pieces. If you can see it, that big chunk sitting on the top of the chisel there. Yeah, that's right there. So, I mean, this is just part of the program. This is part of a good engine build. You know, taking this stuff out of the box and throwing it on. Can you do that? Yes, somebody already did that. These were already used. These were in an engine, but they weren't in one of my engines. And it only takes a couple seconds. You know, if you're worried about every single minute, then don't build engines. At the end of the day, you know, you can charge for every little single thing you do, but sometimes this is just part of the program. You know, I just add it to the job. I don't, this is, I guess it's just me ensuring that, you know, they get a good job. So I guess if you feel that you got to charge a guy a half an hour for scraping his oil pan out or whatever, then, you know, you can do that. But normally I don't charge unless it's really excessive. And then if it's, you know, if it's going to be a 1 hour job, then you got to tell the guy that, you know, all of his MIG welded stuff and his oil pan is got a bunch of popcorn hanging off of it. Unless he wants to run a perfectly good engine, you're going to have to charge him a few bucks to straighten that out. But normally people don't take this in consideration. I've done enough of these to know, you know, educate your customer. We have the tray sitting on the main cap studs, and when you crank it around, the rods are hitting the tray, which is very common. So we're going to shim the tray, and what we're going to do is we're going to use washers. Them are, for sake of argument, an 1/8 thick. As you can see, I've sanded them a little. They had burrs. They were on the tray before. Here's something I want to point out. ARP gives you a serrated washer or flange bolt. Let me back up. Flange nut, sorry. And what them do is they tear up the tray where the mounting points are, and leaves metal. So what I do on these is I sand them down, and I use Loctite because I don't want a bunch of burrs hanging off my windage tray nuts. Now you can on some places, if you shop around, like McMaster Car, you can buy these. This is what I use on a big block Chevrolet when I put a windage tray on it, or using the standoff bolts from GM. I prefer these. I put a little Loctite on them and thread them down because these don't leave any burrs. I don't want to worry about any metal hanging in the engine. You might think that's getting picky, but you're right, it is, and I am. I don't want to add to the metal that's in the engine. So if it only takes a couple minutes to knock some of this stuff down, that's exactly what I do. So we'll put the washers back under the tray. We'll check it, rotate the crankshaft to make sure the rod's clear, everything. And when that's done, we'll move on to the putting the pickup on and putting the pan down. Okay, this is one of the last times you're going to get a real good look inside the engine and make sure everything is right. So we're looking everything over and make sure everything is right, just giving it a quick glance. We'll make sure all the lube, ARP lube, is off these and make the Loctite work better. And you know, I mark things. It just makes it easier for me if somebody walks in the shop or I'm talking to somebody on the phone. I know exactly where I left off. You know, if you don't want to do something like that, it's understandable. You can also just wash it off, you know. But I usually just leave it on because it don't hurt anything. A little bit of paint ain't gonna, off a paint pen ain't gonna cause much of an issue. So we're ready to go. Set the tray on. Okay, I had some little difficulty with this. I guess if you could put the pump pickup on before the front cover. It's really not that big of a deal to get it in there. The bolts that they give you, for some reason this pump only lets me draw the bolt down so far and then it stops. So I've got a couple washers under there. And you know, this is for security, extra security, you know, prevention. I mean, it's a good idea to have it. So we might as well make sure that it at least fits, and we've got both of them in there. So that's drawn up just fine now. There might be some threads or something going on in there, I don't know, but it's drawn up just fine. So we got these drawn up. Okay, now we're going to mount the oil pump pickup. And we have a doubler for that. It's a billet adapter that straddles the original 1-bolt position, makes it 2. So we'll put that on. We've figured out the right O-ring. There's a couple different size O-rings. They're usually red, green, and black, but you usually just measure them. This one came with a blue one. We're going to finish up on this video here. We got the pan on. I had to edit down quite a bit of this video. I was running out of room. I did check the oil pan to the oil pickup. There is clearance there. It's good. It's acceptable. Pan's on the engine. We're going to be putting the heads on it. Thank you for subscribing. I'm pleasantly surprised how many people that have signed up and watched my channel. I hope you're getting some enjoyment out of it. I'll keep making them if you keep watching them. Thank you.